Fantasy basketball doesn't usually fall apart because of bad drafts. It falls apart because of missed days, a lineup you didn't check, a Sunday you didn't respect, a stretch of the season you thought you had time to clean up later. And right now, later is gone. We've hit the halfway point of the fantasy regular season. The standings are tight, the margins are thin, and consistency has officially become currency. So today we're checking in on the league, what happened, where everyone stands, and why being present still matters more than chasing perfection. And on Christmas Eve of all days, we'll also take a moment to acknowledge time, the time you put into your teams, and the time you spent with this show. I'm Vincent Cooper, and this is Round Ball Rants. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Sleeper Weekly Report for Week 9. Sleeper has Buckets, Boards, and Dick, managed by Vincentius, listed as the best team of the week, finishing with 366 points. Sleeper also lists Team 9 as the worst team of the week, finishing with 99 points. Then should we see that the highest scoring picks for the week. At point guard, Jalen Brunson scored 60 points against Miami. At shooting guard, DeMar DeRozan scored 46 points against Houston. At small forward, Brandon Miller scored 42 points against Atlanta. At power forward, Jalen Johnson scored 59 points against Chicago. And at center, Kel'el Ware scored 53 points against New York. Moving down to the league awards shown by Sleeper. Vincentius is listed as the most efficient manager this week, finishing with 366 points, with a maximum possible score of 385. Pebron is listed as the least efficient manager, finishing with 147 points, with a maximum possible score of 369. Sleeper also shows Lamb 978 with the highest points and a loss, finishing with 179 points, in a matchup against UJs who scored 262. And B Clem 23 is listed with the lowest points in a win, finishing with 187 points, in a matchup against Team 7 who scored 108. Next, we look at the top free agents by average fantasy points for Week 9. At point guard, out on the market is Dennis Schroeder from Sacramento, listed at 25.67 average fantasy points this week. At shooting guard, Cam Spencer from Memphis is listed at 20 average fantasy points. At small forward, Najee Marshall from Dallas is listed at 24.33. At power forward, Darius Barlow from Philadelphia is listed at 21. And at center, Luke Cornett from San Antonio is listed at 26.25 average fantasy points. Moving down to the team matchups and MVPs for the week. Buckets, Board, and Dick finished with 366 points, defeating Team Pebron, who finished with 147 points. Twins finished with 219 points, defeating Team 9, who finished with 99 points. Team 3 finished with 151 points, losing to Team Curry 30 Money, who finished with 259 points. Team Loose Moose 7763 finished with 200 points, defeating Jay Has to Picks, who finished with 145 points. Team 7 finished with 106 points, losing to Team B Clem 23, who finished with 187 points. Team UJs finished with 262 points, defeating Team Lamb 978, who finished with 176 points. Now moving down to pick performance for the week. Sleeper shows that Buckets, Board, and Dick finished with 366 points out of a possible 385. That's listed at 91.1%. Team UJs finished with 262 points out of 341, 76.8%. Team Curry 30 Money finished with 259 points out of 341, listed at 76%. Twins finished with 219 points out of a possible 308, listed at 71.1%. Team Loose Moose 7763 finished with 200 points out of 294 points, listed at 68%, and Team B Clem 23 finished with 187 points out of 211, listed at 88.6%. Team Lamb 978 finished with 176 points out of 281, listed at 62.6%. Team 3 finished with 151 points out of 205, listed at 73.3%. And Team Pepperon finished with 147 points out of 360, listed at 39.8%. Team J has the picks, finished with 145 out of 295, listed at 49.2%. Team 7 finished with 106 points out of 230, listed at 46.1%, and Team 9 finished with 99 points out of 216, listed at 45.8%. Now looking at the standings after week 9, Buckets, Boards, and Dick is in first place at 7-2. In second place is Team Pebron at 7-2. In third place, Twins is 7-2. In fourth place, Team UJs is 6-3. In fifth place, Team Curry 30 Money is 6-3. In sixth place, Team B Clem 23 is 6-3. In seventh place, Team J has the picks is 4-5. In eighth place, Team 7 is 4-5. In ninth place, Team Loose Moose 7763 is 3-6. And in 10th place, Team 3 is 2-7. In 11th place, Team 9 is 1-8. And in 12th place, Team Lamb 978 is 1-8. Now that we've laid the standings out, I want to slow this down for a moment and really talk about where we are. We are officially at the halfway point of the regular season. The fantasy playoffs begin in week 18. The top 2 teams in this league will earn a first round bye, and the remaining teams in the top 6 will battle it out in round 1. And the reason I want to say that out loud is because this is the point where fantasy basketball stops being theoretical. Early in the year, you can survive on optimism. You can survive on draft capital. You can survive on once this guy gets healthy or once rotations settle, but once you hit the halfway mark, the standings start telling the truth. When you look at the standings right now, what stands out isn't separation, it's how tight everything is. Teams are packed together, records are stacked on top of each other. The only thing separating them are their points for versus points against. There's no runaway, there's no safety. And in a league like that, the difference between second place and seventh place, it isn't talent. It's usually 1 or 2 decisions per week. One lineup left unattended. One Sunday you assumed was safe. One week that you didn't respect. This is where I keep coming back to the same idea. Consistency is currency in fantasy basketball. Not perfection, not big swings. Consistency. The teams near the top aren't there because they've hit home runs every week. They're there because they show up. Lineups get checked, injuries get monitored, waivers get looked at even when the options aren't exciting. Over time, those small, boring decisions stack up and they compound. Now, on the flip side, teams don't usually fall out of the race because they don't care at all. They fall because attention slips. A week can get busy. A lineup doesn't get set. A Sunday rolls around and you assume the matchup is over. But fantasy basketball has a way of staying dangerous, even when a team looks inactive. And all it takes is one big Sunday, one player going nuclear, one late game swing that flips the entire week, and suddenly a matchup you didn't respect becomes the one that costs you ground in the standings. That's why this stretch of the season matters so much. The standings are tight, the margin for error is shrinking, and the league isn't forgiving. If you're active, you're in the race. If you're prepared, you're dangerous. And if you assume your position is safe, fantasy basketball has a way of humbling you quickly. Because the playoffs don't care how you started. They care only where you are when the door closes. So when we hit the back half of the season, this isn't about chasing upside every week. It's about stacking your attention, stacking preparation, and understanding that in fantasy basketball, consistency is currency. Before we get to the bounce, I want to pause for a moment. The show recently crossed the 100 hours of YouTube watch time mark. And I don't say that as a milestone to celebrate. I say it as something to acknowledge. Because that isn't a number. That's time. That's people choosing to spend minutes and hours with this show. Listening, thinking, agreeing, disagreeing, coming back. And for something that officially started on October 10th, that means more to me than I can properly put into words. So if you've watched even once, if you've checked in, if you let an episode play while you're doing something else, thank you. I don't take that lightly. Alright, let's finish this the right way. Before we head out today, I want to sit with something for a moment. We spent this episode talking about consistency, about how fantasy basketball doesn't reward perfection, it rewards presence. And the more I think about it, the more that idea stretches beyond the league. Because today is Christmas Eve, and this is the part of the year where everything feels loud. There's pressure to finish strong. There's pressure to wrap things up. There's pressure to measure where you are against where you thought you'd be. But sometimes the most important thing isn't how far you've come, it's the fact that you're still showing up. Fantasy basketball reminds us of that. You don't win by chasing the biggest swing every night. You win by checking in, by setting the lineup, by paying attention. And life isn't all that different. As we head into the holidays, if things feel unfinished, it's okay. If the year didn't turn out the way that you imagined, that's okay too. Presence still counts. Effort still counts. Time still matters. Whether you're spending the next couple days with family, friends, coworkers, or just writing a quiet moment to yourself, showing up where you are, that's currency too. I'm Vincent Cooper. This was Round Ball Rants. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And remember, it's not just basketball. It's therapy with a bounce.